Now this is what everyone does here in Autumn Leaves. It's not written on the charts. You won't find it on iReal Pro, but it's a great example of the way people actually use arpeggios. So another look at Autumn Leaves today, and I'd like to share with you 3 things that I like to do on this tune to add harmonic interest and tension. Key ingredients of any decent jazz playing. Now check the description for a link to the PDF from today's lesson at my website, as well as a link to my Patreon, where the jazz standard for this month is Autumn Leaves. Now let's get on to it. So if we were playing Autumn Leaves in E minor, at the end of the first A section, we reach a point where there's 2 bars of E minor, or E minor 7 as I might play it. Just here. Anywhere where you get long stretches on a chord is a great place to, try out a few different things and create some more harmonic interest and tension. And it's here I like to do what's called the minor rundown. Now the minor rundown is something you can do on a minor chord, and it's a descending idea, and it works both in comping and soloing, and it kind of has a feeling of movement, and it leads us nicely back for that second A section. Now the minor rundown all centers around a descending in semitones move, going from an E here, the root, down a semitone to the major 7, down a semitone to the minor 7th, and finally down a semitone to the 6th. So you're going to hear this in the ideas, like, or often used in kind of Latin rhythm parts as well. And we can harmonize those descending notes to give us E minor major 7, E minor 7 to E minor 6. And play those as chords. I could do, we've got 2 bars, so I could do 2 beats on each, like. Then we back into the next A section. So let's try that from the F sharp minor 7 flat 5. So like to the B7, and here's the rundown. It's a lot more interesting than, say, just staying on E minor or E minor 7 for 2 bars. And you don't have to be completely rigid with it, 2 beats on each chord. Sometimes I like to do things like this. So what I did there is I cut off the last strum on the E minor 6 and put an approach chord a semitone above to the A minor 7. So it's like E minor, the major 7, minor 7, 6, B flat into A. You could also do it approaching from below, listen. And that works, and just again gives that sort of direction and travel to that A minor 7 in a really kind of flowing way. You can move this and find this in other places on the guitar. I quite like it on the top 3 strings, so on GBE. Reminds me of, not quite the same, but tell me what song that is. One of my favourite intros to a song. Anyway, you could do it on these top 3 strings. Nice to pick it like this, just to get used to the sound of it as well. And this particular one, the note that's going down is the lowest note of the move. You could do that off the A string, the D string, the low E. And I encourage you to find these things in different places. They will also move to other minor chords. This isn't just something that will work on E minor. Take this shape on the GBE, frets 9, 8 and 7, take it to 14, 13, 12. And we've got A minor. So many places we can do this on the guitar, and I encourage you, as I said, to find it in different places. We could hint at it in a lead line, something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or maybe just single notes, coming out of the F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B7, before we go back into the next A section. So it can be fully fledged, so we'll just pick out some of it, and if you're going to pick out anything, pick out the bit which descends, right? We turn now to one of the most common additional chords that people like to add to Autumn Leaves. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a secondary dominant to the progression. We're going to use that same bit in the song where we had the 2 bars of E minor, just between the first A and the second A here. If we just played 2 bars of E minor, then the A minor comes in, so we went. into the second A section, it obviously sounds fine. But if we want to give it a nice push back into that next A section, what we can do is play the dominant of A minor in that last bar before we go back to the next A section. Now the dominant of A minor is E7. I'm sure you played a song before where you go E7 to A minor or E to A minor. That's the dominant, the 5 going to the 1 chord. So what we're going to do is put an E7 right here. And we could do this in chord form if we were playing rhythm, or we could do it in arpeggio form if we were soloing. So in chord form, let's have a bar of E minor, then a bar of E7, that secondary dominant leading to A minor. You hear that? Maybe if I go from the F sharp minor 7 flat 5. Bit more context. E minor, here. Hopefully you can hear that, it pulls us nicely to that A minor. Now why does it work? E7 contains the note G sharp, which is a semitone below A. So it desperately wants to resolve up to an A, and that's why you feel that wanting to go to the A minor. Now I've already made a video on secondary dominant, so I'm not going to discuss it today, but I'll put a link in the description. So if that's something that's new to you, or you need to read up on it and get your head around it, then check that out. Now again, you don't have to be so rigid with these things. Let's try that again, but just have 2 beats of E7. So we'll go F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B7, and a bar and a half, then E7. So just for 2 beats there. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, there. Let's hear that without me talking. Leads really nicely back into that A minor. And we could go a step further, just have 1 beat of E7 on beat 4 of that second bar. So E minor, 1, 2, 3, there on beat 4. And sometimes people might do this with a push, like I actually did it with E7 sharp 9, the Hendrix chord there, but I think that sounds quite good and a funky way of getting back into that A section. If we were soloing over the tune, at this point we could put an E7 arpeggio just before that A minor, and it's going to sound like it again wants to take us to that A minor. So here's a little idea I've written out for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do that again. So in that first bar, I'm really thinking E minor with a couple additions. There's a 9th in there, there's a flat 5 and a 4. Flat 5 makes that quite bluesy, but it still in essence feels like an E minor based idea. Then the second bar, I'm really implying this chord, E7 flat 9, which is like an altered spicy version of E7. So I've got, what's happening here, we start on the major third, there's the flat 9, root, minor 7, passing note to the 5th, passing note to the 3rd, resolving to the A minor at the end. I know I said there's a couple passing notes in there. I could just play like an E7 arpeggio, like, but it sounds a bit square. But you could practice it like that to start with, like just do an E minor, then E7, A minor. Maybe that'd be a good way just to start to hear it first. Now this next idea is all about setting up tension. We're going to leave those 2 bars of E minor alone, we've done enough to them today. And we're going to use the start of the B section. Now for me, when I'm playing over jazz standards, I always play differently over the different sections, or I try to, because I think I'm then following the path laid by the composer, and I think for the audience it gives a nice point of difference, and the song has more of a progression, a sense of a journey. And what we're going to do at the start of this B section is do what's called a pedal point, which is where we keep one note the same and we change other things around it. Now last week I released a video of me playing Autumn Leaves solo, and I used a lot of pedal point in that, actually, not consciously with this video in mind, but I did looking back at it. And it's, as I said, it's where you keep one thing the same and then you put other things on top of it, and that things you play against it, sometimes it sounds like fine, it sounds in with it, and other times it sounds dissonant, and that tension carries on because of one note remaining the same. So at the start of the B section there's these 3 chords, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B7 to 2 bars of E minor. Now what I'm looking for here is a note that will work well, and it often quite works well in certain points in songs when you pedal the root of the dominant. Now the dominant in this key of E minor is B7. B is obviously the root of B7. It's the fifth of E minor. It's not a note in the F sharp minor 7 flat 5, so it's going to sound interesting against that one. So if I did it in chords, I could have this. Hear that? So F sharp minor 7 flat 5 with the B in the bass. There's a B7 sharp 5 with the B in the bass to E minor with B in the bass. I love the sound of that first one, it's really interesting. Nice tense B7 with the sharpened 5 to the E minor, then I go. I could carry the idea on. Let me see how far I can take it. So B in the bass with F sharp minor 7 flat 5 with B7 with E minor with A minor with D7 G major 7 C major 7 F sharp minor 7 flat 5 again. I could keep going. You know, you can hear anyway the idea that droning bass note is just gonna keep creating this, it's kind of quite ominous feeling there with it being in the bass. So if we did it off the A string, we could have this last one. So that was an F sharp minor 7 chord on the top 4 strings with a B added in the bass. Although a lot of people might hear that and hear that more as an altered B7. It's like a root, a fifth, a flat 9, a sus4 and a flat 7 to B7, very normal guitar shape, to E minor 6 with B in the bass. But again, the tension is set up there. In a lead line, I could have that B on the top or the bottom. Let's put it on the top for a change. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there's 2 points of pedals in there. There's the B, and then I'm descending an E harmonic minor scale, going A, G, F sharp, E, D sharp, and then playing the B as every other note. A, G, F sharp, E, D sharp. And then there's a secondary pedal here, where I'm using the D sharp, and then resolving into E minor. I quite like that idea. I could, well, notice also how I let stuff ring. So it kind of get the dissonance in there, it's nice. And what about this line? 1, 2, 3, 4. And the B on the top, but in a more kind of phrased kind of idea. And you could do a much simpler version of this where you just play one note right through those changes, like just play a B. Then into A minor. And that obviously does set up this tension of when's it going to change. The whole point is that note against some chords sounds good, against others it sounds slightly off, but it's fine when you go to the next chord, say, when it sounds interesting and good again. Now if you want to take your learning further with Autumn Leaves, then do check the description for a link to my Patreon page. This month it's the standard of the month, and that will be on there going forward, that material, and there's a beginner solo, an intermediate solo, walking bass study, and a chord tone outline, amongst other things. Now today's lesson may have raised some questions, things you've not yet come up against or you need to brush up on. I imagine for some of you that will be secondary dominance, so here's a video on the screen about that important topic, which is so essential to understanding jazz chord progressions. And in case you missed it, I'll also put on the screen my recent solo guitar performance of Autumn Leaves, as that features lots of pedal point. If you've got any questions, you leave them below. Hit that like button. If you've not subscribed, please consider doing so for jazz guitar lessons every Wednesday. Until next time, you take care.